What is going on, you JPEG junkies? Today we're going to be looking at the top 3 Cardano projects under 1,000 ADA. We got some really good choices here. We're going to get right into it. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you're liking the video. It really helps us get out into this YouTube algorithm. So we're going to start with the most expensive and work our way down to the cheapest one. And these, I think, have that potential to hit that next level. First one we have is the Mechanism Genesis. We are right at the cusp of 1,000. Cardano Thor, I first saw him talk about this a couple weeks ago. It was around 700. So we've seen a nice, slow, and steady gain. Overexposed is the project behind the Mechanism Genesis. This is going to be some sick artwork. This is going to allow you to mint a future drop of only 4,000. And these things look insane. Here's a couple examples right here. Oh yeah. I like what I see. Only 4,000. I really like how it's going to be a lower number. This is high quality artwork. This is really, really nice stuff. So you hold one of these 1,000 and you're going to be able to mint. You know, with the price as high as it is, pushing 1,000, I don't think that they'll abandon, this Genesis. I'm sure it will have future utility, but this is maybe some of the best metrics I've ever seen for wallet disbursement. 1,000 items, 810 owners, 81%. That is insane. That is double anything that you ever really see out there. They have an active community. They blew up 4,000 members in 24 hours. So, the Cardano community, you see some good art. We gravitate towards it. So, really liking what I'm seeing with Overexposed. So, I'm going to try to get one. It is 1,000. I'm going to have to move some things around. I don't even have one in my wallet. 8,000 followers. So, only 4,000 with 8,000 followers. Gonna see some demand for this one. All right, next up, we have the Chilled Kongs. We've talked about the Chilled Kongs before. Really strong project, really strong community. We're looking at a floor of 650. This is just, it's got a lot of traits. It's got a lot of unique art. One thing that makes me bullish on this is you'll see, people really, really like these more rare Kongs, and they're not willing to let these things go for cheap. So, look at the gold skin, only 2 of them for sale. People really like these rares. I think purple, is maybe a decent snipe if you want to try to get a rarer trait. Really not that many purples, so, that's a good one. And if you look at the trait count, there's only 8 with 7 traits. 12,000. Good luck getting that. And then, similar to the semi-nude Bored Apes, you see the 4 trait ones also going for a very pretty penny. So when you see a community, people like to hunt the rares. I like to consider that's their forever NFT. You kind of have the floor. Maybe you just dump it like it's really not worth that much. But when you have that rare one that you like, people really tend to hold on to it. I was looking at the astronaut skin. This one is also going for a decent amount, 1,100. People really like the Chilled Kongs. They have a strong community, 16,000 followers. They have an active Discord. The Kongs always show up. We have these tweets, they show up. Stuck between these 2 designs. Comment your favorite. You know what? That's a good segue, actually, is going to take us to our third and cheapest pick. I like my clays. I like my Clay Nation. This is the Clay Nation Good Charlotte drop. This is, a secondary drop that they had, and they go for about, 20% of the regular price, maybe a quarter. So the regular clays, I think they're around 1,200. Let's see, the regular clays, 1,300. So you can get these, for about a quarter of the price. As the clays go up, these are going to go up. I kind of use the analogy of the Bored Apes and the Mutant Apes for this. You have the Mutant Apes. They're always worth about 20% of a Bored Ape. I'm seeing something similar with this. So if you're bullish on the Clay Nation, they're going to keep going up, I believe. One day, probably 2,000. One day, probably 3,000. I think if we can get Clay to about 4,000, I think these are going to be about 1,000. So I think these will always hold, a percentage of the value. This is another example of people really, really valuing their traits. I was looking at some of the more rare ones. These people don't want to let these things go. Let's see. Sewn Shut Eyes, 43 of them. This is just random. I don't know. 2,200 quickly to 3,000. This is nuts, though. This art right here is insane. We look at some other traits. Eyeballs out of the socket. There's 100 of these. 113. Can't get one for less than 1,300. So the clays, the Clay Nation Good Charlotte, I think they actually have cooler traits than the original drop. But, this is the secondary drop. It goes for a little bit cheaper. Shout out to Good Charlotte for just being an active member of the Cardano community. We love seeing some of these mainstream names coming into the space. So these are the three, on my radar. I think they're pretty cheap. I can see them all going up a little bit as long as the CNFT market remains strong. The mechanism, keep an eye out on that secondary drop. The chilled Kongs, don't sleep on the Kongs. They ain't that chill. They come out in full force. And good vibes with the clay. So 3 on my radar. Let me know what you think the best drop is under 1,000. We'll check it out. And again, make sure you're subbed. Hit those notifications. Get that alpha and get that alpha quick. Until next time, JPEG Junkies.